Fearful, fidgety felines, advancing through the night. When suddenly, out of nowhere, a horrid face causes fright. Be calm. There's no need to cry or moan. It's just some old weather-beaten bone. Yet not all is what it seems, for below this giant skull hides a devious monster waiting for some prey to go.
What's good, ladies and gents, boys and girls, duggers and diggets, and today, guys, we're going to be looking at Daimyo Hermitaur. Now, Daimyo Hermitaur is a monster that is beginning in, like, the beginning of Monster Hunter, and he makes a full-on return in Sunbreak, and he's amazing. He's just so much fun. Like, I've currently, as I'm speaking right now, I did play this game the day the game came out, but I've yet to actually progress past the Daimyo Hermitaur. Stuff got in the way. These videos are going to come out a lot slower than normal, simply because we're actually going to be playing this game on PC. This is PC footage, 1440p, 60 FPS, that kind of thing. It's actually looking really nice, and I'm glad that we're able to actually do this. Hopefully the video quality for these guys will actually be a lot better, a lot easier to see, stuff that people would rather actually see, because, you know, it's not 30 FPS, maximum 1080p. It's all about, you know, the theatrics, not the theatrics, but, you know, the production value, you know what I mean, as far as the video content goes. The video itself looks better, so I guess, in my opinion, at least my mind's eye, that the whole overall thing will be better. Nevertheless, Daimyo Hermitaur. So, when you fight Daimyo Hermitaur in Sunbreak, he's going to be the very first monster you fight. As soon as you activate the, I'm just going to call it the G rank area. I know it has an actual proper name, I think Gallardo or something like that, but once you actually get your first quest from it, it's going to be a Daimyo Hermitaur. Now, what you're probably wondering is like, yo, Dak, I was fighting high rank monsters, now we're fighting G rank monsters. What do I have to do? What's different? Like, am I gonna get bodied with my high rank gear? The answer to that question is no. The Daimyo Hermitaur is essentially like a high rank monster. Like, he fights like a high rank monster. By that I mean the damage you're going to be inflicting on him, and the damage that that health that he has is very akin to that of a high rank monster. Think a high rank flagship monster, like, I don't know, off the top of my head, like Mizutsune or something like that. It hits about as hard as a Mizutsune, or maybe even less than that, because I went in here with a relative mixed set of armor. I will show it to you a bit later, and I'll even put it in the description if you guys don't want to actually wait to look. But the armor itself only had about 311 defense or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. It's a pretty solid defense, but a lot of the monster parts I was using, the armor parts I was using, were less than, you know, stellar parts. Barroth, Baggi, I think only had one, I guess you call like a flagship status type monster armor piece, which was Diablos. It was a general Lancing mix set, which is what I was wearing right now, which is what I'm wearing currently now, but I'm layered with the ingot armor because I love ingot, because, you know, that's kind of my boo, it's kind of my boo thing. But nevertheless, the Daimyo Hermitaur isn't going to be too difficult to actually defeat. You can go in here with high rank gear, high rank armor, high rank weapons. A great weapon to really have if you're really new to the game is the Defender. Is it called Defender? Yes, the Defender style weapons. You just pick whatever weapon type you want, and then you upgrade it with very, very, very little materials. I mean, insanely little. Just small amounts of money too. It's like $5,000 to upgrade most, and then you only need one bone. Like, it's basically free weapons. I mean, they're making you pay for it a little bit, but essentially free weapons. Now, these weapons are pretty good. They give you a bonus to your defense, I think 30 flat, and they also give you a pretty decent chunk of blue sharpness and 230 raw. Now, comparatively, if you yourself already have weapons with comparable stats, if not better, you're in good hands. The defender weapons are for people who are either A, lazy, me, B, who are really, really new and they just want to jump into the Sunbreak action, not really have to fight through leagues and leagues of low rank and high rank just to kind of, you know, find a weapon that they really, really want. Unless you still don't care about that and you really do want to do that, that's all you. But nevertheless, it makes it really easy. So the numbers that these weapons and these armors actually have, your high rank stuff, is going to be okay when it comes to fighting Daimyo Hermitaur. Now, with all that said, let's talk about actually fighting Daimyo Hermitaur. Daimyo Hermitaur is an old monster, a really, really old guy. He's had essentially the same moves for a long time. There's a couple of things you have to watch out for, and I'm going to give you a brief rundown. He will open his arms wide. to give you a hug, right? He's not going to hug you. That's one of his strongest attacks. One of. It's not the strongest anymore. It used to be his strongest attack. Outside of the big hug, he does have a attack where he likes to swipe one claw to the left or one claw to the right. These are slightly quicker attacks. If you're Lancing, this is a 100% free matchup. It's very, very easy to deal with. But the thing is, with these swipes to the left, swipes to the right, he'll do it on either side, but he'll scuttle to the left or to the right to swing at you from one of those sides. So if he's not standing still when he's doing it, he will try to position himself around you so that way you can't necessarily evade him when he does do this. Now, the one issue with Daimyo Hermitaur when it comes to fighting him is that when he does many of his attacks, he lunges his body forward a bit. So if you position yourself closer to the body, like close to his body, he'll whiff like 80% of his attacks. And because the hitboxes aren't super broken anymore, they will whiff properly. It's not like you're taking advantage of the game mechanics. This is actually something that's true. If you don't get hit by someone's fist by being close to their body and they swing it past you, then that's just how that works. And that's exactly what this is. So outside of his open arms wide attack, the quick swipes to the left to the right, he has a newer attack where he'll scuttle to the side, maybe scuttle to the left a little bit, and then he'll jump and like slam down one claw. Like, that attack is super strong. It's kind of hard to dodge too, unless you're actively trying to definitely full on get out the way. I've been hit with it a couple times and it does a great amount of damage. The thing is, you want to be like either blocking or timing your spacing. Is that even a thing? Getting it to where you know he's going to jump, and once he jumps, he has to commit to that range, and then you close the gap further so that way you're out of range of that the initial slam. It does have a slight bit of area of effect where the hitbox is a tad bit janky, but overall not a terribly dangerous attack. Well, it is, but it's not too difficult to actually manage. He does have a water beam. He's had this beam for a while. This beam, it's very simple. He has 3 versions of it. He has just 2, but he can change direction. He has the one beam where he'll beam and then he'll walk to the left or to walk to the right, depending on where you are in most cases. And he has a beam where he'll just shoot it straight. Now, the straight beam can be shot straight ahead, or it can be shot straight up. So if you're playing around with your wire bugs, floating around in the air, he'll still hit you with the thing. I've been hit with it a few times. It's actually shocked me. Outside of those, if you attack him from behind, he will use that shell on his back to attack you. Now, if for those of you who don't know, here I am about to flex my old man boomer zoomer status. That is a monoblos shell. A monoblos is a monster that I have seen since 2014. Why did I say it like that? 2014? Oh yeah, 2014. Yeah, 2014. Because Monoblos' last minute appearance in 4U. Before that, he was an incredibly old school monster who only ever sees play in, I believe, village quests. He's never had a online multiplayer quest. I still think that's actually the case. But nevertheless, it's an old monster. It's a dead monster's helmet head, if you will. But with that horn on the back, he will use it to charge at you, and it does quite a bit of damage. It's actually incredibly strong if you get hit with it. Any of the attacks that he throws with the shell is going to hurt. All of them are going to hurt. When he digs and he comes up from the ground, he'll do it. He'll dig and come up, go back down, come back up, go back down, come back up. All of these hurt. Has another one which I totally forgot that he had, but I remember when he did it in this game, where he'll dig, come up, and he looks like he's like creeping, and then he'll jump out at you. Now, if he does this and he jumps out at you and he grabs you, it's his pinning attack. And he'll pick at you, you know what I mean? You know, it's a pinning attack. It's nothing crazy. It is still a pinning attack though, so it's something you might want to watch out for. So you ever see him like doing the digging thing and he kind of comes up and it's not the skull, it's like his front half, he's gonna try and do his pinning attack. Outside of all of these things being said, Daimyo Hermitaur is not the most difficult monster to fight. He's a very, very good monster to get your feet wet when it comes to G rank though. He fights incredibly well. Like, I know I've been playing monster for a very, very long time, but fighting Daimyo Hermitaur here is probably, in my opinion, the best I've ever had a chance to fight this guy. It just works so well. He's just so fluid and so great. He is a grand good fight. I love him, and I love him more now than I ever loved him before. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I didn't have a whole lot of time to actually talk about the armor and the weapons for Daimyo Hermitaur, but briefly I'll break down the fact that a lot of his armor, well, a lot of his weapons are very decent water on most of his things, and his armor is very interesting. The problem I had with the armor in base Rise anyway, was that you had a lot of armor that was like, okay, if you use this weapon, you can only use this armor with this weapon no huss, no fuss. You can't really work around it. It'll have nothing but skills exclusive to certain weapons or something like that, or skills that only work in combination with this certain weapon or something like that. Now, mind you, more savvier people will say, hey, you can just mix it, you know, take a piece of this, take a piece of that, make your armor set. Sure, you could totally do that. I'm not advocating that. I'm wearing a mixed armor set right now, but what I'm saying is that a lot of the armors were like, yo, I like this monster, it's so cool, I wonder what the armor looks like. You go to make the armor and it can't help you for spit, okay? It's exclusively like a switch axe armor, and you main bowgun, and then you have to hold that. None of the skills benefit you at all. That sucked. At least in Sunbreak, that does not seem to be the case. As far as Daimyo Hermitaur goes, his armor set is very varied. It actually has great skills for lance, gun lance, charge blade, bow, bow gun, excuse me, both light and heavy. If you squint, you can actually get a sword and shield set out of there. And if you squint even harder, maybe a great sword. But the fact that you can actually use so many different weapons with the one armor set is pretty cool, because it's something they didn't have in base world. It's what all of Monster Hunter used to be like. So I'm very, very happy about that. So as far as Daimyo Hermitaur goes, he's an amazing monster, and I love the fact that he's back. And great job, Capcom. I'll see you all in the next video. It'll be in a little bit with a better format. I know this one's a little weird, but I'm still trying to get used to recording and doing things on PC. It's a little awkward for me personally at the moment, but we'll get there. Thank you guys. Take care.